In a small, peaceful village surrounded by rolling hills and lush forests, Grandpa Edward lived a quiet life in his cozy little cottage. His home was filled with warmth, the scent of baked bread often wafting through the air, and the sound of birds chirping outside his window. His loyal golden retriever, Goldie, was more than a pet to him. She was his best friend, his protector, and his closest companion. Years ago, on a freezing winter night, Edward found Goldie as a tiny, shivering puppy by the roadside. She had been abandoned, her fur matted and her eyes full of fear. Edward brought her home, wrapping her in a warm blanket, and sat by the fire as he fed her scraps of bread and milk. From that day on, they became inseparable. Goldie followed him everywhere, her wagging tail and joyful bark bringing life to his otherwise quiet days. Edward would often say, "Goldie, you're not just a dog. You're my family." One evening, as Edward was enjoying his tea by the fireplace, dark clouds rolled over the village. The wind howled, and rain began to pour heavily. What started as a gentle stream near Edward's home quickly turned into a roaring river. Edward, sitting comfortably by his fireplace, thought nothing of it. He had lived through many storms before, and assumed this one would pass just like the others. Goldie, however, sensed something was wrong. She barked loudly, her usual playful demeanor replaced by urgency. She tugged at Edward's sleeve, her eyes wide with alarm. "What's the matter, girl?" Edward asked, puzzled. But Goldie wouldn't stop. She ran to the door, barking and scratching at it, urging him to follow. When Edward finally stepped outside, he was met with a shocking sight. The garden was flooding rapidly, and the water was rising with alarming speed. "Oh no," he gasped. "The water's rising faster than I thought." Goldie sprang into action. Without hesitation, she grabbed Edward's coat with her teeth and pulled him towards the hill behind the house. Realizing the urgency, Edward grabbed his cane and followed her. Rain poured down in sheets, the ground turning into slippery mud, but Goldie stayed close, her sturdy paws finding the safest path. He paused every few steps to look back, making sure Edward was following. As they climbed higher, the roar of the floodwaters grew louder. Edward's heart raced, not from fear, but from the effort of the climb, and the realization that Goldie had saved him from certain danger. Finally, they reached the top of the hill. There, they waited as the floodwaters surged through the village below. From their vantage point, Edward could see the devastation: homes submerged, gardens washed away, and the little bridge near his house completely underwater. The night was long and cold. Edward and Goldie huddled together under a large tree for shelter. Goldie's fur was soaked, but she lay close to Edward, her body providing him warmth and comfort. Edward gently stroked her head, whispering, "You're my hero, Goldie. I don't know what I would have done without you." When morning came, the storm had passed. The first rays of sunlight revealed the extent of the damage the flood had done. Edward stood on the hilltop, his heart heavy for his neighbors who had lost so much. Yet, he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude for Goldie. She had saved his life. He knelt down and hugged her tightly. "You're not just a hero, Goldie. You're my angel," he said, his voice choked with emotion. Word of Goldie's bravery quickly spread throughout the village. Neighbors came to visit Edward, bringing food and supplies, and they all wanted to meet the heroic dog. Goldie basked in the attention, her tail wagging furiously as children petted her and adults marveled at her courage. She became known as Goldie the Hero, and her story was told and retold, inspiring everyone who heard it. For Edward, the bond he shared with Goldie grew even stronger. She wasn't just a dog. She was his savior, his companion, and his family. Together, they rebuilt their garden, mended fences, and helped their neighbors recover from the flood. Life returned to the village, and with it came a renewed sense of community and resilience. This story is a beautiful reminder of the incredible love and loyalty animals bring into our lives. They're not just companions, they're protectors, friends, and heroes who touch our hearts in the most extraordinary ways. Goldie's courage reminds us that even in the darkest moments, love and loyalty can shine brighter than any storm. Thank you so much for watching the video to the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your participation is very important to us.